Today we are going to discuss about the cardiovascular system. In the cardiovascular system, we are studying about the composition of blood. What are the components which are made up of blood, and what is the function of the blood, and what are the materials needed to produce blood, and so on. Blood is the fluid connecting tissue present in the vertebrates. Blood. It is the fluid connective tissue present in vertebrate. And the primary function is to supply nutrients and constitutional elements elements to tissues and remove these products. Waste products which are present in the body or the tissues. Blood also enables cells and nutrient substances to be transported between tissues and organs. It enables cells and different substances to be transported between tissues and organs. Between tissues and organs. Problems with the blood composition or circulation can lead to down nutrition and tissue malfunctions. Problem with blood composition leads to down nutrition and tissue malfunction. Tissue malfunction. Blood is also involved in the maintaining hemostasis by acting as medium for transferring heat to the skin and by acting to a buffering system. The O2 is carried throughout the body by the blood circulation. O2 means oxygen is carried throughout the body by blood circulation. Next, the pulmonary circulation happens when the blood leaves the heart, enters the lungs, and becomes saturated with oxygen. Once this saturated blood exits the heart, it delivers the oxygen to all organs throughout the body. The oxygen depleted blood is then delivered back to the lungs to be renewed with fresh oxygen. Blood is a circulating tissue composed of fluid, plasma, and cell. Blood is a circulating tissue composed of fluid, plasma, and cells. Cells means red blood cells, RBC, WBC, and platelets. Anatomically, blood is considered as a connective tissue due to its origin in bones and its function. Blood is considered as connective tissue due to its origin in bones and its function. Its function. Blood is the means and transport system the body used to carry elements from one location to the body to another by way of blood vessels. Blood is the means and transport system of the body used in carrying elements, for example, nutrients, water, and heat. From one location another of the body by way of blood vessels. Blood is made up of two parts. Plasma, which makes up 45 to 55% of blood volume, formed cellular elements, red blood cell, white blood cell, and platelets, which combine in make the remaining blood volume. Means blood, plasma, which makes 45 to 55% of blood volume, and remaining volume is made by RBC, WBC, and platelets. This is about the composition of blood, where blood is the fluid. Blood is the fluid connective tissue which is present in the vertebrates. And the primary function of the blood is to supply. The primary function is to supply the nutrients and the constitutional elements to tissues and remove waste products from the body or through blood, and it enables the cells and substances to be transported between tissues and organs. The main function is to transport the substances or the nutrient elements from one part to the another or tissues and organs. And the problem with the blood composition leads to the down nutrition and tissue malfunctioning. Means the composition which are essential nutrients are not supplied in a particular manner, the malnutrition can be occurs or the tissue malfunctioning can be occurs. And the blood containing the oxygen O2 is carried throughout the body by the blood circulation. O2 means the oxygen is carried throughout the body through the blood circulation. Blood is a circulating tissue composed of fluid plasma and the cells which involves RBC, WBC, platelets, red blood cells, white blood cells, and the platelets. Blood is considered as connective tissue due to its origin in bone and its function. Means why it is considered as a connective tissue? Means it is present in the form of fluid manner or a fluid structure. How it can be said as connective tissue? Tissues are in the form of nerves and the tissues. Because of the presence or the origin of blood in the bone and the function which is carried out by the blood, thus leads to the consideration of blood as the connective tissue. And the blood is means and the transport system of the body which is used in the carrying elements which are called as elements, for example, for nutrients, water and heat from blood to the all parts of the body, and from one part of the body or one location of the body to the another location of the body through the way of blood vessels. And what are the blood is made up of two parts, and the one is blood plasma, which is makes the 45% to 55% of blood volume, the complete blood volume, and the next remaining blood volume is made up of cellular elements which are RBC, red blood cell, white blood cell, and the platelets which combine to make the blood volume complete 100%. And this is about the blood and the composition which are involved in formation of blood. Blood plasma is made up of 90% of water, made up of 90% of water and 78% of soluble proteins. Now, soluble proteins which involves albumin, which involves albumin, blood clot, clot, osmotic, integrity, etc. 1% of electrolyte and 1% elements in 1% electrolytes and present of plasma in salt which helps with the pH of blood. One percent of plasma is salt which helps with the pH of blood. The largest group of solutes in plasma contains three important proteins to be discussed. There are albumin, globulins, and clotting proteins. There are three important proteins to be discussed. Proteins to be discussed, which are albumin, globulin, and clotting proteins. Clotting proteins. These are the three main important proteins to be discussed in the blood plasma. Albumin are the main common group of proteins in plasma and consist of nearly two-thirds of them, 60 to 80%. They are produced in the liver. Albumin is consist nearly two-thirds, means 60 to 80%, and they are produced in the liver. Liver. The main function of albumin is to maintain the osmotic balance. The main function of albumin is to maintain osmotic balance between blood and the tissue fluids. Between blood and tissue fluids is called colloid osmotic pressure, and thus called as colloid osmotic pressure. Colloid osmotic pressure. In addition, albumin assist in transport of different materials such as vitamins and certain molecules and drugs. Example, bilirubin, fatty acids and penicillin. In addition, they assist in transport of different materials such as vitamins and certain molecules. Example, vitamins and certain molecules and drugs. Bilirubin, fatty acids and penicillin. Globulins are diverse group of proteins designated into three groups: gamma, alpha, and beta. Their main function is to transport various substances into the blood. Gamma globulins assist the body immune system to defend against infection and illness. Globulins are designated into three groups: gamma, alpha, and beta. Gamma, alpha, and beta. And their main function is to transport various substances in the blood and gamma globulins assist body body's immune system in defense against infections and illness. Clotting proteins are mainly produced in the liver, as well there are at least 12 substances known as clotting factors that participate in the clotting process. There are 12 substances known as clotting factors which participate in clotting process. clotting process. One clotting protein that is the part of fibrinogen. One of the main component is the formation of blood clots. In response to tissue damage, fibrinogen makes the fibrinogen which serve as the adhesive in binding platelets, red blood cells, and the other molecules together to stop blood flow. Means blood plasma. It is the made up of 90% of water and 7 to 8% of soluble proteins, and which involves albumin, clot proteins, and osmotic integrity, and 1% of electrolyte. And 1% of plasma is composed of salt, which helps the blood to maintain the pH of the blood. And there are three important proteins to be discussed in the plasma or the blood plasma, which are known to be albumin, albulins, globulins, and the clotting proteins, which are the three important proteins to be discussed in blood plasma. And the first one, albumin, it is the consist of nearby two-thirds of the plasma or the two-thirds of globulin, which is of 60 to 80% of albumin is composed of plasma is composed of albumin, and they are produced in the liver. They are produced in the liver, and the main function of the albumin is to maintain osmotic balance. The main function of the albumin is to maintain osmotic balance between blood and the tissue, between the blood and the tissue fluids, and thus this maintenance of osmotic balance between blood and tissue are commonly called or known to be as the colloid osmotic pressure. Colloid osmotic pressure. And in addition, they assist in transport of different materials such as the vitamins, certain molecules, and the drugs. The drugs involves bilirubin, fatty acids, and the penicillin. These are the certain drugs are the different materials which are transported from blood to another parts of the body or different tissues of the body. And thus the globulin are the designation into three groups which are called as to be gamma, alpha, and beta. And thus this globulin's main function is to transport various substances in blood, and gamma globulins assist the body's immune system in defense against infections and the illness. These are the proteins which help the body's immune system or which protects the body's immune system in the defending of particular infections and the illness which are caused commonly to the body. And there are 12 substances which are known to be as clotting factors, which are the responsible for the blood to clot and which participate in the clotting process of the blood. These are something about the blood plasma. In the next, one important protein that is the part of this group is fibrinogen. Fibrinogen, which is one of the important protein. It is one of the main component in formation of blood clots. And which is the most main particular component in the formation of blood clot is the fibrinogen. In response to tissue damage, fibrinogen makes fibrin threads which serve as adhesive in binding platelets, red blood cell and other molecules together to stop the blood flow, Means one of the important protein that is the part of this group is fibrinogen, and this is the fibrinogen which is one of the main component which involves in the formation of blood clots, and in response to the tissue damage, the fibrinogen which is present, it converts and it makes the fibrin threads which are served as the adhesive in binding platelets, red blood cells and the other molecules together to bind and to help the stoppage of blood flow from the body or the tissues of blood through the cuts or the wounds or through out of the body. The stoppage of blood is carried out by the binding of platelets, red blood cells and the other molecules, which is carried out by the fibrinogen, which is converted as fibrin threads. This is about the blood plasma, and tomorrow we can discuss about the RBC, hemoglobin, WBC and the platelets.